Thanks for listening and subscribing to the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. In this, episode 203, Jose and I catch up on the news, what Clive Barker's been up to. There's a new audiobook of the Venus Complex with 2 hellbound Cenobites involved. Don Bertram's The Chimney Sweep's Tale, an update on the performance of The Departed, and some great Clive Barker-related sales. All this news, plus we spill the beans on what you can get in our upcoming Kickstarter. Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 6, Bill Seeker. Hey, thanks for joining us again on the Clive Barker Podcast. This is episode 203. We'll be talking about the news and giving a little sneak peek of our Kickstarter. It's almost finished. It may be up by the time this episode airs. We're hoping, if not then, it will be really soon.
Yeah, so 203, huh? We're already on the way to the next 100 episodes.
Yeah.
If everything goes well, by the end of next year, we'll be doing episode 260 or something like that. So very exciting. We did have some news from the Reef. Like you said once, I think you mentioned this on the blog. We've been so busy with life and other episodes that we've been preparing that news kind of fell a little to the wayside. But you made a really awesome, informative blog post where you put all these news items in there. So
yeah. Well, and hopefully we didn't get too far behind, or they didn't become irrelevant. I think most of this is still relevant.
Yeah, especially because, of course, Chicago Days of the Dead happened last weekend, and Clive Barker was there along with Simon, Nico, Barbie. Mm-hmm. So lots of photos of fans, have been posted around on Instagram and other places like that. And Clive was doing good. Everybody else seems amazing. And it looks like a great time was had by all.
Yeah. People were really excited about it. A lot of people that had never met Clive Barker before were meeting him for the first time. I was seeing a lot of that on Facebook and stuff. So that's cool. I mean, it's nice that he's giving people this opportunity because there was quite a long time when he was doing no appearances at all. And this was, when he decided to go to Texas Frightmare Weekend, this was surprising to everybody.
Yeah. So you can check out some pictures there. I'm sure someone must have put some videos up on YouTube as well. We'll share those as we find them. So Chicago Days of the Dead. Seems like it was a really awesome time. And I hope you had a chance to get a photo op with Clive and the Cenobite actors and get some good swag.
Yeah, and whenever I see these things on Twitter, I've been retweeting them through the @BarkerCast Twitter account. So keep checking that too. Whenever we see mentions or anything like that, we try to retweet it.
Yeah, so I know, for example, that Simon Bamford Uber fangirl Lori Markle Bichet, she did a lot of pictures about Simon Bamford. She was hanging out with the actors. She was taking pictures throughout the entire convention. And she cosplayed as well as like the nurse from the Dark Ditties that takes care of Kenneth Cranham's character. Yeah. She cosplayed as one of the revelers who's like watching the whole Dark Ditties thing with the masks on and toasting after JBD gets his just desserts. If you watch Dark Ditties, you know what I'm talking about. If not, then no spoilers. But so that was really, really cool. Go and check out Simon Bamford fans page on Facebook. You'll see plenty of pictures there from Chicago Days of the Dead convention. Simon, Nicholas, Vince, Barbie were there. And speaking of Barbie, there's a new audio version of her book, The Venus Complex, right?
Yeah, so that's exciting news because it's narrated, of course, by Doug Bradley, the obviously the person who played Pinhead, who is also a really accomplished voice actor and narrator. I mean, he's done Mr. Begone, which we're going to be talking about a few episodes down. We'll be going through Mr. Begone, and I think that's probably the version that I'm going to be, I hate to say reading, but that's what I'm going to be doing.
revisiting the book in audio format, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and not only that, um, but also Clive's newer book,
Tonight
Tonight
Again.
Again. Yeah, Tales
Yeah.
of Love, Lust, and Everything in Between. So we'll be. He also narrated that one, and he's great.
He sure did. We got a chance to look at the recordings before they actually made the audiobook, and we gave a little bit of feedback on them. That was really nice, a really nice thing to do, because we got to listen to it before anybody else did, and it was such a great performance was given by Doug Bradley in a lot of those stories. That was really, really good.
Yeah, and so I'm excited about this version. I'm hoping we'll get, we'll be able to fit it into our schedule for next year.
Of course. So the Venus Complex, if you've read the book, you know it's about a serial killer, and who better to voice that serial killer than Doug Bradley, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting book because it puts you right into the mind of the serial killer. It's like from his perspective, which is uncomfortable. You don't want to be in his perspective, but makes it a lot different from a lot of other stories about serial killers that are typically from the police's perspective.
Yeah, trying to track him down and stuff. And here it's more like it gives you like this insight into the mind of the serial killer. So, like you said, very uncomfortable places sometimes that you kind of unwittingly identify a little bit with the killer, because just it's the person that's telling you how they feel on the inside. And so you can't help but like identify with them a little bit because they're the protagonist of the book. And another part of you is like, no, this is wrong. You don't want to be identifying with this guy. But anyway, so now with Doug Bradley's voice, I'm sure that character will pop up to life even more.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that one. And speaking of new releases, Clive Barker's Candyman Blu-ray by Arrow is out now, and and that's the European, like, UK version, but that's got an interview with Clive Barker on it that's a good half an hour long, and we got to see that. And so anybody that's on the fence about buying Candyman, they're like, oh well, I have the DVD already, should definitely check out that interview.
Yeah, I believe that this interview was about almost 3 hours long, but then they edited it down to what you see in the Blu-ray. And it's a great piece of interviewing, because Clive goes on to talk about a lot of stuff, about being an outsider, about his family, and about life in general. And he delves a little bit into like his familiar life and his dad and his mom, and near the end it gets a little sad. I would say it gets a little sad, because you feel like sometimes people that love you end up making you feel like an outsider, because you're different from them and they don't really understand you sometimes. But if you have that Candyman Blu-ray, go check out that interview, because it's a really powerful moment when Clive Barker shares a lot of stuff, and I think everybody should watch it.
Do you know? And I don't, but do you know if this interview is on the Shout Factory version as well, or is it only the Arrow version?
I don't know. I have to compare both of them. I don't have the Shout version yet, so
I don't either. And it's available to pre-order now, or it's actually, I think it's just available to order.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten to it yet.
That's an interesting question. I think this is a great interview, and I feel like people should buy this Blu-ray disc from Arrow, even though it may be region locked. But if you have a multi-region Blu-ray player, then you should probably buy this one and listen to it, because it's an amazing interview with Clive Barker, and it was done just really recently before they released this Blu-ray. So check it out. It's really, really cool.
And anybody who's listened to any of our previous episodes will probably recognize Don Bertram. He's released a book called The Chimney Sweep's Tale, and it's kind of a book for ages like 8 and up. That he just got this. Well, He and I actually recorded an interview about it earlier this week, and so we'll put that in here right now.
First of all, I'm looking forward to big time to the release of Imaginer 6.
Oh yeah.
And I just saw some updates today that it looks like maybe the domestic copies are going to be going out in the next week or so, and the limited and those, I guess, that need the little book plates glued in will be coming out in a month or so. Anyway, I'm all excited about that.
Oh yeah, definitely, me too.
Yeah, they have Phil and Sarah always excite me when they find pieces that I either didn't know existed or pop up unexpectedly. It's always a good thing.
Definitely.
Anyway, also, I unfortunately, you guys have kept everybody abreast of what's going on or what's stopped going on in the real Clive Barker site. That was always an exciting thing for me to just watch the original art that would pop up on that. And it gave me a kind of a little finger on the pulse of what might be going on in the Barker camp. And that's kind of history nowadays. So I'll be excited to see that return when and if it does.
We have seen it at conventions and stuff, like when we were at Texas Frightmare Weekend. Clive Barker had some original artwork of his, some paintings and sketches and stuff for sale. So that was really cool. At least there, you could still get them sometimes.
Really, was it? Were they new pieces or older pieces?
I'm not sure. I think probably a mix of both.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I did see a couple of images of him on Instagram, and I think you guys put a few on the website or put a few that actually he looks like he's healthier now. Maybe things have turned around, and I mean, the future is maybe looking bright. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, maybe he's getting better. We hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all excited about that. So anyway, but getting back to the book, then I don't know a lot. I don't know. Last time I was on, we talked a lot about Clive, and I never really elaborated on what I do with Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination.
Right.
So I thought maybe I would lead in with that, and so we can kind of give everybody a heads up on what's going on, and if they decide to get the book, they'd at least know what they're backing.
Mm-hmm.
But Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination is just a program that I started at Texas Children's Cancer Center, where I go there once a month and I take 3 or 4 paintings with me, and not to get the kids to, copy them, but to kind of get their imaginations going. And then I kind of lead them on these little artistic journeys that tend to get their minds off waiting for their doctors and waiting for their infusions and things like that. And it's always an exciting time, for me, it's always an adventure. You never know who's going to be sick, who's going to want to do the program, who's going to be in the right age to not feel like they're, intimidated to actually get out there and try to do something artsy, during this little kind of time of stress. But that's really what I do. And it's what I believe in, the use of art and for other things than just looking, they can make you feel certain ways. And I think they can aid in the healing process. So for me, it's art used in the promotion of healing. So that's what we do. That's what I do.
And we've been really proud to have you as a sponsor for our podcast.
Well, I appreciate that too, and Clive always appreciated it. It was I'm sure it's a big deal to him even more, I haven't had much contact with him, but back in the day, it meant a lot. And, knowing that, and it meant a lot to me too. So it was kind of like a bond that we had back in the day.
That's cool.
But anyway, the new book, I never was going to do another book because, as you know, books are not easy projects.
Right. Yeah.
They are. They can be that's probably the understatement, but they can be a real problem, and they're very expensive. And nobody, now the younger generations, it's all Nooks, it's ebooks and things like this, and it's a little different. It's very difficult to find anybody in the States that wants to have anything to do with printing a hard copy book anymore. And that's one of the problems, but just the daunting task of putting together something original and a book here in the States is extremely expensive and very time consuming. And it's weird. And I never was going to do another one, but I believe in odd numbers. So maybe number 3, this will be the end of it. But last February, I was coming home after getting my car maintained and about 30 or 40 miles away. And this story just coalesced in my mind that I thought was so important that this had to happen. And so my next step was to find an artist, which I caught a lot of slack for this because everybody thought I should be the one doing the art in this book.
Oh, yeah, right.
But it didn't work out that way. My art if I was going to do this, I was going to do this the way I wanted to do it. And in my opinion, my art was not the type, the style, and the feel of the art I needed in this book. I needed somebody who could do a soft, beautiful, loving image. And my art is a little edgier and a little harsher than what I wanted. So I came home, I got the artist I wanted to join up with me, and that set me off. So within 6 months, 8 months, the book was printed, ready to go. It's called The Chimney Sweep's Tale, and it is a short story. The cover is beautiful. I hear you have it pictured down at the bottom of the news page.
Right. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. It is confrontational, which is what I wanted. I wanted this child to be looking at you and you to be feeling it. And but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful image, and anybody that looks at it, I can't imagine getting a different type feel from them. All the money that I get for this book, and it's inexpensive. It's only $20, and it is hardcover, excuse me, all color, 50, 60 pages in the book, and I do give all the money to the kids at the Texas Cancer Center. So it is a labor of love. It's something you have to see. I was hoping that people would take a look at that, maybe give it a chance, use it as stocking stuffers. It's inexpensive. It's one of those things that, it just keeps giving. It's one of the story is really good. I find it hard to believe that anybody would not relate to this story. And it is the story of a 10-year-old boy in the early 1800s, a chimney sweep, which isn't common nowadays, but I guess there are still some chimney sweeps, who finds something special in one of the manor houses of which the chimneys they're cleaning, and the story goes from there. And it's a story of self-discovery, love, and it shows how one little thing can change somebody's life forever. And I think you love it. So anyway, that's my deal. That's what I'm pushing nowadays, is getting people to give it a chance, take a look at it. And we were very lucky, just as a coincidence, come the next, I want to say the end of February or early March, we're going to have our first national TV spot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, really, go figure. Who would ever thought? So I'm hoping, when the time comes, with your help, maybe we can spread the word, and when I find out when it is, and maybe give people a link and see what it's all about, because it is a special thing, and it's something, again, art is something that can help us through some of the roughest times of our lives. So let's see what happens.
And you had mentioned previously that this is for ages 8 and up, I believe?
Well, yeah, actually, when you look at the book, it actually looks like a children's book. And when you open it, the font is large, and I've kind of done it like an older children's book from maybe 60 or 70 years ago. When you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But no, it's not really. It can be read to children, but it's full of metaphors and symbolism that really you need to be 8 to 10 and older to really get the full feeling of it. And again, when you read the story, you'll know exactly what I mean. But that's why I say it's not just for children or younger people. It's for everybody. Adults would get into it even more. So that's what I wanted to. I'm glad you brought that up, because I did want to get that across about this book.
And this book is by you and your brother, right?
Well, he helped polish my shoes. That's, I'm as you can tell by the when I get on these interviews, it's like I specialize in run-ons. I'll keep on and on and on and on, and he can clean that up. He's actually the writer, and in the afterwards in the book, he talks about how. How he heard the story, and it had to be. There was no way we were not going to publish the story once he read it, and that his whole deal was going to be to help me clean it up and make it seem a little more literate. And so that's what he did. So that's why his name is on the cover. But actually, the story itself is just mine.
So the artist is Judith Mroski Gonzalez?
That's right. And that's right. That's who did the art. That's who I asked to join on at no guarantee of any type of pay. And when you see these paintings, including that cover, you'll see that this was somebody who is very talented in what she does. So that was another big incentive. Now, these people know that I'm probably going to buy the art anyway, and sure enough, I bought every piece that she did for this book because the book itself meant so much to me. But yeah, she's got her own website too, and that's all in the back of the book too. But yeah, look under Judy Morski, Mroski-Gonzalez, and you can see some of the work she does also. She's a very talented lady, very sweet.
Well, I'll have to look into getting this here because Christmas is coming up.
Well, let me tell you something, Ryan. You will love that book, and I guarantee you, and anybody else, if they actually purchase this book and they do not like it for any reason, which will not happen, I guarantee you, I will personally give that money back to them. This is something that we believe so strongly in, and it's such a great story. I think everybody ought to give it a try. And it's all on the Etsy page, by the way, along with the Christmas cards this year. There's a few of those left over too. So anybody who's considering that, again, everything I do, something that's not that isn't like my paintings. I always keep half the money from the paintings to help fund some of the issues that I have to deal with at some of these art shows and all. But when I do the cards and the books, some of the shirts and other things over the years, we just give all of that. That's just part of the give back time. And everybody comes to that point in their life. You will too. As you get a little expendable income, you realize how fortunate you are, and it's time to maybe give back a little bit. So that's what we're doing.
And I see on your Etsy page, it looks like there are a few of your paintings left still that people can buy.
I do have a handful of paintings on there, and I'm going to have to get busy. I really got slacky here lately and not done a lot. But last year was a huge selling year for me, and this book took over everything after the latter half of the summer, and I've really not put a lot of new things on there, but I'm going to update that within the next couple of weeks, and it'll be even bigger. So yeah, visit it. Great Christmas gifts. Again, that's where the money goes, so it's a good thing.
So if you're on the Etsy page, just look for Celebrate Imagination, like all one word, it looks like. Or you can search Don Bertram.
Yeah, they won't let you when you do your title on that. They won't let you put a space in there, so I had to cram it all together. But yeah, it should be under Don Bertram or Celebrate Imagination. Either one up there, and I know you were kind enough to put a link on the news page too, so I really appreciate that. I wanted to tell you, best of luck with the new Kickstarter. We haven't seen what you're offering on that yet, but we'll keep our eyes open for that.
Yeah, we should be revealing that here right around the time that this airs, so people will be able to see that soon.
Well, good for you, and you deserve it.
It's been great talking with you again, Don Bertram. We hope to have you back again soon.
Well, same here. Keep us posted on everything, and we'll keep our eye to the podcast.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was nice of Don to come out and tell us about his book, and 100% of the proceeds go to the Texas Children's Cancer Center.
Right, part of the initiative of Celebrate Imagination, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. So we probably will link to his Etsy page at the show notes.
Yes.
So, go ahead and listen to the Chimney Sweep's Tale. And thanks for thanks for the interview, Ryan. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was good to talk to him. And then Ghost Stories for Christmas has an additional performance, and also I had put in a correction here because when we first reported Ghost Stories for Christmas, we thought it was a compilation book,
Right.
but it's not a book. It's like a live play performance of stuff from different various authors, and one of them is Clive Barker's The Departed, which is also known as Hermione and the Moon.
Right. So this will be performed at the Lantern Theater in Brighton, December 20th through the 22nd. And it'll have, like you said, different stories being performed, including that story by Clive Barker.
And a lot of the performances are sold out, and they go from December 20th through December 22nd. But they added an additional performance on the 22nd so that people will still get a chance to go see it. I think they didn't expect it to sell out as much as it did, so they added another performance to it.
Oh, that's nice.
And we'll have a link in the show notes. If you click through to the original blog post where we did this, there's also a link to the website where you can buy the tickets if you're in England and want to go see that.
Right. So that's Brighton and in December. So yeah, I know sometimes people are like, well, it's not too close to me, but hey, if you live in the vicinity, you always should support the arts, right? You go there, you watch it, and you get to experience like some interesting theater play with the Clive Barker story in there. So that's always good. I mean, you can read a play, but when you see it performed by actual actors, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that in the UK it seems like they have a different concept of what's far away, than what we have in the United States.
Yeah, it's a much larger country here, so.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we don't think too much about, traveling 6 hours for something or.
Oh yeah, especially you, huh?
Yeah, right.
0 away from everything.
Yeah. The next biggest town here is a 6-hour drive.
That's
Anchorage.
Alaska for you.
Yeah.
And so, cool thing about, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, but of course, Black Friday is something we live with nowadays. It spreads to everywhere.
Yeah, apparently people are celebrating it all over the world, even though they're like, I don't understand what this is. It's an American thing.
Why can't they make the prices like this all through the year?
Yeah.
So anyway, the Clive Barker Archive has some great deals for Black Friday, all the way through the weekend until Monday, the 26th of November.
Yeah. Well, and they are partly an American thing now, the Clive Barker Archive, because they ship stuff from Clive's office and from England. So
that's good, because that way you don't have to worry about shipping expenses from England to the United States. So they can also get shipped direct from the United States to you.
Yeah. And
they have some good sales. They got a sale, for example, on a Death's Head poster that used to be a cover for Rue Morgue magazine, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
There's still some Nightbreed screening posters that are discounted from $25 down to $15. All the Imaginer books, you can still get them except for the first one that's sold out. But Volume 3 is also on sale, $15 discount from $95 to $80.
Yeah.
You can still get the Memory, Prophecy, and Fantasy book Volume 3. And this is a really huge sale because it goes down from $45 to $15. That's a $30 savings right there.
Wow.
And unfortunately, like I said, the first one is sold out. But you also have those Imaginer cards that come along with the Imaginer books. If you order those, you might have gotten a few of those inside the book. So you can also get an art card set for $7. And all the little thread-bound notebooks with Clive Barker art in the cover, they're all on sale as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really cool. And are they must be sold out of those Aberrat posters with Caspar Wolfswinkel? Because I remember they were selling those autographed, I think, and now they're...
They still have the Art of Abarat poster. They still have signed posters for $48.
Oh, okay. But that's not
Yeah.
part of the sale then.
No, it's not. It's not marked as sale.
Maybe they don't have enough of them to make it a sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the one with Caspar Wolfswinkel, like you said. And the two Tari cats. It's really cute.
Yeah.
Cute and awesome. Wasn't he one of the first characters that Clive Barker created for Abarat?
Yeah, I think that's what we had heard, is that he that painting that Clive made of him was kind of the genesis of the whole Abarat series, that his ideas kind of spiraled out from there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this was a poster that was created to accompany the Art of Abarat exhibition at the Pacific Design Center in Los Angeles in 2002.
Yeah. So, and speaking of sales, you had just discovered this like right before we started recording, right?
Right.
Century Guild has up to 80% off of Clive Barker prints. So they don't represent Clive Barker anymore, but they have a few things that are still left over that are at a huge discount if anybody's interested.
Right, and they have all sorts of art prints and posters of stuff that they print themselves and they sell through the Century Guild Museum, and you can find some really interesting stuff. But Clive Barker related, they do have the Malleus Rock Art Lab Nightbreed poster. If you remember that one back from 2013, it was a silkscreen poster that has like, there's a Baphomet and there's like a blood red forest rising from the ground, and then if you flip it upside down, you can see the moon and the stars as well, and it's a really beautiful piece. And you also have the Grand Guignol Thanatos exhibition that happened in October 19, 2013. So that was an exhibition of artworks that celebrated the legendary theater of terror, the Grand Guignol. And you had like Gustav Klimt, Alphonse Mucha, I'm probably mispronouncing that one, or Mucha, Clive Barker, Jeremy Bastian, David Mack, Dave McKean, Gail Pataki, and the Malleus Rock Art Lab, of course. And they also made the poster that has like the Death and the Maiden figurines, and that one's going for $15. So this promotion is called the Island of Misfit Books and Prints. Up to 80% off, all cosmetically in perfect inventory. So some of these posters have a little crease here and there. They have a creased corner, or they have like they got something heavy was on top of them and gave them a little kind of a wrinkle or something like that. But they still look pretty good. And if you put them in a frame, you probably can't even see the bent corners. So that's a great chance to get some cool artwork and put it on your walls.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And so that's not necessarily a Black Friday sale, right? That could probably last longer than the holiday weekend.
Sure. It doesn't say when they stop doing it, so I'm guessing they're just trying to get rid of as much stuff as possible. And they also have the Vance Kelly Nightbreed silkscreen poster. It's being sold for $10.
Wow.
So yeah. Even if it has a bent corner or something, I mean, it's $10 for that. You can't get this anywhere else. So
that's cool. I remember we gave him a ride to Clive Barker's house for the
yeah,
when we were going to the Nightbreed premiere.
Fun times for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so then we'll move on to Clive. This is our tentative title. Well, I think it's not tentative anymore. Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 6 Bill Seeker.
Right. So that's our latest fundraiser. And we have some stretch goals and some backer rewards. We got some stuff donated to us as usual. And you even got to get an email directly from Clive Barker, right?
Yeah. That was pretty cool. He said, let me take a look at what you have, what you've gotten in the past, and I'll talk with Phil and Sarah, and we'll see if we can do anything for you. So
always much appreciated.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and
we can tell it was actually Clive Barker because he typed in all caps. So it always seems like he's yelling at you.
Right.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm very happy to contribute.
Yeah.
I know. Why are you
Yeah.
shouting?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. And I remember there was one guy on his Facebook page said, "This is how we know it's not Clive Barker. It's because he's typing in all capitals, and Clive would never do that."
Uh-huh.
It's like, no,
Right.
that's how you know it is him.
Right,
He
right.
he handwrites his books. But yeah, so actually, it's funny. I was thinking about the titles, and I'd been racking my. Even though I don't need to think about this now, it's like, what do I do for Fundraiser 7? And I thought, oh, Deader, like Debtor. So
Huh?
Fundraiser 7 could be Fundraiser 7 Deader,
Oh,
Debtor.
Debtor. I
Yeah,
get it. Yeah,
yeah,
like Debter. Oh,
yeah,
okay, you got me with that one.
yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and then I don't know, Bill World or yeah,
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
yeah, yeah, right. And but right for right now, fundraiser 6 Bill Seeker. So obviously, because we play off fundraiser from Hellraiser, and then go off the various titles, and there are so many Hellraiser movies that this could go on forever. But
At
um,
least until the 10th, which would be cool to be able to
yeah.
do this podcast for 10 years, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Well, and yeah, and we didn't do a fundraiser our first year, so we're going to be entering in our 8th year of the podcast here in starting in January.
Yeah, good times.
But yeah, so in order for us to continue, we've got about $700 worth of bills to pay, which is why it's Bill Seeker. We got hosting and domain names, and I have to maintain an Apple developer account for our that's $100 a year, for our app to stay up on the Apple iOS store. And I think for Google we're all right. I haven't checked that one in a while, or I haven't heard about that one in a while. I hope it's still there.
Sure. So we also have the app that we developed last year with LibSync.
The Libsyn, yeah.
Yeah. So just a reminder that app is available on Google Play and the iOS store. It does a lot of cool stuff. You can download the episode. You can just stream it if you want. You can see all of our episodes and have a little description on each one. And then you can also use it as an alarm clock to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, which is cool. I've been, I wish I could do that with other podcasts. I don't know if I want to hear my own voice to wake up in the morning, but that might be a little disorienting.
It's a beautiful day in the Aberrat today. And then it turns into like a Groundhog Day kind of thing where you wake up with that thing every day and it's always the same day.
Yeah. Right.
I would love it to be always the same day when we went to visit Clive Barker. That would be great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That'd be a good Groundhog Day.
So you want to go through some of the more interesting stuff that we got donated for us this year?
Yeah. So on our backer rewards, we, obviously you get thanks on our blog and podcast, which we'll always do. The hardcover interview book. So this is a big one, and I know we started this two Kickstarters back, yeah, and we have been making progress very slowly. And I know people are concerned, and they should be, because Kickstarters, a lot of these things people buy and then nothing ever comes out. But we're working hard on it. We've got about half of our interviews transcribed, and we've recruited our listeners and fellow Clive Barker fans to help us out. And a bunch, like a good 5 people, have agreed to help. So, anytime we could be seeing the results of that, and that'll really push this forward. And once we get all the Nightbreed related interviews transcribed, then we just figure out what order we want to put these in and edit it and send it off to the printer. And we've got
That's right.
we've got a couple of printers in mind. So if one doesn't work out, we've got the other, and so this will definitely get done, and we still have the money set aside for it. So it's not, and everybody who ordered one in the past couple of Kickstarters is definitely going to get one. So there's no worry there. It's just we have to say, sorry, we were really naive when we thought we could get this done in a year.
Yeah, and our episodes can go on for quite a long time. And when you're transcribing that, we had to start using this automated system to transcribe it. We're using AI. So, and we do, like you said, have some listeners who have agreed to help us. And I'm pretty sure we will get in touch with them pretty soon to reach out and see how that has been evolving. And so that's one of the things that we got going is the hardcover interview book.
And if if anybody out there wants to help us, just contact us right now. We can connect you with the AI. It's called Temi.com, and they let you do one for free if you set up a new account. So, that's why having people help us out has been great, because all those people can set up a new account and do one interview for free. And if all these people that agreed, to help us, then we'll have it done without having to pay for any of those.
Right. Because we started out doing this by hand, but it's like for every 10 minutes of like speech, we would spend like maybe an hour maybe more transcribing it, making sure we understand who's saying what, and then you always have to stop and play and type and stop and play and type, and it gets really, really old really fast. And especially when you and I started having more less free time and more job time, it really put a damper on it. And Rob did a lot of stuff too, and David and Justin have helped as well. And then we have some listeners, and so if you guys could get in touch with us and let us know how that's going, that'd be great. And we will get this done.
Yeah. So, and that's the interview book, and have no fear, we'll have this done. I'm hoping with all the extra help that we'll have, there's no reason why we couldn't have this finished in 2019. And I may be jinxing us by saying that, but I
don't think so.
I really, really wanted to get this done by the end of this year. But we're still waiting on some transcriptions. But and all we can do is just keep pushing ahead and keep bugging people. But
so we have some weird products as well, right? I mean, I'm looking here. We have, for example, Clive Barker nail wraps. And I'm like, I think I remember seeing these at the store when it used to exist, the realclivebarker.com store. I remember the nail wraps. Do you remember what they used to look like? I mean, you have it with you, right?
Yeah.
I think they had like some chains box. And
they look like stitches or like bloody spots.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
There are still some random Magica cards that you have from your personal collection.
Oh yeah, I've got a ton of those left, and all I can say is if you buy them, we did have an issue last year where somebody wanted to just tell me what cards he already had instead of what cards he wants, and so I got mixed up and it ended up sending him apparently a bunch of cards that he already had. So, if you want to give some input on what cards you're looking for, that's a big help. But please don't tell us, what you already have, because I'm already overwhelmed by that point, with trying to make sure I get everything right in everybody's orders, and usually doing packaging up over 40 orders.
Sure.
And that was just too much. We just need you to tell us what you're looking for, and then even if you want to have input, if you just want it to be random, that's fine too.
Right. And then we still have some tote bags. We still have
patches.
Patches, autographed comics.
There's some funny greeting cards too that have like funny sayings on them and pictures from movies.
Yeah, and there's a Santa pinhead with like a beard and a Santa hat and stuff like that. We'll have pictures of this all throughout the Kickstarter. And there's a King Rocker prototype shirt, right? From the days of Occupy Midian, 2011, 2012.
No,
2012, I
it's
think.
not that one. It's this is a newer prototype that they made that was going to go with the Cabal Cut Blu-ray, and they decided against it. So this is a one of a kind T-shirt, and it's got the proper dimensions for the how in the old one the square was kind of small. But on this one, it takes up the whole front of the shirt. We only have one of them. It's size large, but because it's a prototype, this is the only one in existence.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting item for whoever snatches it. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind item. So King Rocker shirt, that's a prototype. That's one of the things that were donated to us. And then you have some, of course, we always have the advertisement. You can advertise on the podcast for 6, 14, or 24 episodes. We have some posters. You want to talk about those?
Yeah. So there's posters from the 90s Barkerverse Razorline comics. We have, of course, the quote poster with the smiling world quote from Clive Barker.
Right.
We have what else? Oh, Best Cutler Gallery poster that's got the three paintings, side by side on it, on the print.
Right.
Yeah.
Of the
right, and of the kind of the life cycle sort of a thing. And we've got some autographed books also. We've got Hellraiser Bestiary #6 comic that's signed. We've got Hellbound Heart paperback signed, and actually that one's from my collection. We've got a Damnation Game First Edition UK. That's not signed, and I'm jealous of whoever gets that one. Because I just have the American one with that weird box with a face on it.
Yeah, it looks like a setting sun, and there's a ghostly face over the horizon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we have an autographed trade paperback of the Adventures of Maximilian Bacchus and his Traveling Circus. And so that's kind of a rare one because it's very expensive when you find that on eBay and stuff, and it's been sold out for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of out of print. And then there's still a few Cabal Cut Blu-rays. About 4 of them.
Yeah, we've been told that we're going to have 4, so I'm excited about that.
You can listen to us rant about the movie and the commentary track that's included in the Blu-ray.
Right. And we have Arcana cards, so they're sort of supplemental to the tarot cards. And we have you can plan an episode with us if you wanna come on and just come on the podcast and discuss an episode with us. You can pick any topic you want, even if it's already been done. It hasn't been done with you yet, so
right.
That's one.
We did one with Ben Warren about the Imagica episode. That was a good episode. He even made a little music piece that he put up on his SoundCloud, and it was called The Cradle of Cherzemit. So that was a fun episode that we had with Ben, even though, he wanted to be a part of the episode, but we ended up talking a lot more than he did. But it was great to have you on the episode, Ben. So anybody else wants to do the same, we'd love to talk to other listeners.
And that ended up being one of my favorite episodes that we've done, and that was super cool. And that kind of worked out that we hadn't talked about Imagica yet anyway, and so he wanted to be part of the Imagica episode, and so he was happy to wait until we got to that book, and then we did it, and it was
right.
And it came out great, and we even, like you said, we even got to include a musical piece that he did that was inspired by the book.
Yeah, that was fun. So there's a lot more stuff that you guys are going to find out about backer rewards in the Kickstarter, and we'll have pictures for that. But what are we planning for the coming year, Ryan?
Yeah, so we kind of set this up as stretch goals, and we usually make our stretch goals. But we'll do 6 interviews. We hope to be able to talk about the entire Abarat series, which we haven't done yet, even though we've talked about the books after. But yeah, we'd been kind of holding out because Abarat 4 might come out, and so we're thinking, let's wait until that one, and then we can go 1 through 4, and then maybe 5 will come out, but yeah, I think that next year is the year that we start on Abarat.
Right. So we'll be doing Abarat 2, Days of Magic, Nights of War, and so far the last one that was published, Abarat 3, Absolute Midnight. So yeah. I'm gonna have a fun time revisiting 1 and 2, and then reading the third one for the first time. Because, like I said, I've never read the third one. I have it. I just thought, you know what? I'll wait until everything's out and then I'll read it, because I would just keep forgetting what I read in the previous books. And I was like, okay, well, so that's one of the things that we're going to be tackling in 2019, and then we're going to be doing more plays.
I mean, I'm expecting Phil and Sarah will have more playbooks coming out. There's no reason to think that they won't. And so when it's usually one previously released one from like Forms of Heaven and Incarnations, and one that's never been published, and so it's those ones that are never been published that we will probably be visiting. And if not, there are also plenty of plays that we haven't talked about in those 2 books also.
Oh yeah, like I have The Secret Life of Cartoons, and we just didn't bring it to the table because Phil and Sarah said they would eventually get to that one to publish it. Yeah. And so we don't want to overstep what Phil and Sarah are doing. So hopefully by the time that one comes out, we'll be able to talk about it.
And audio commentaries. So this is interesting because we've run out of Clive Barker movies that he's directed. We've run out of sequels. But he's got a presence in a lot of movies and things that you don't normally think about. Like, and we get this stuff from the news. So, like for instance, the Dark Ditties TV series that's on Amazon Prime right now. The first episode, The Offer, is like a Hellraiser 2 Hellbound cast reunion, right? It's got a huge cast of people that were all in Hellraiser 2. And that was and obviously that's how we found out about it. And it's made by the people who did the Hellraiser 1 and 2 documentary.
Yeah, Leviathan. So that's something we could do a commentary track for. That would be a fun thing.
And by the time we get to it, probably episode 3 will be out. Because there's episode 1, The Offer, and 2, Mrs. Wiltshire are out already on Amazon Prime, and then the third one they've already finished, and I think they're just waiting for it. I think they're either in post-processing or post-production, or they're just waiting for it to get into Amazon.
Right, I think it's going to be called Finders Keepers or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's that. We'll work on that, and it's also a nice way of getting outside of the Clive Barker box sometimes, and just being able to talk about other things that might be marginally connected. And we love talking about stuff together, and people love to listen to our commentary tracks. So why not just branch out and start doing some stuff that's going to be a little more marginally connected to Clive Barker, but you can still have a fun time watching it, and we do recommend these things that we're going to be doing commentary tracks for.
Yeah. I mean, anytime Clive might retire, so we hope that he gets a chance to relax. If more stuff comes out and he's feeling good, I think that's the best. But if Clive retires, this podcast will probably just evolve a little bit and move on.
This podcast will have no end.
Yeah, that's right.
You're stuck with us forever.
Yeah, don't turn it off. He didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we also have Clive Barker's artwork has appeared in several movies over the years. Like, for example, it's in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That's a new TV show on Netflix. You can see some of Clive Barker's artwork in the background. At the Witch School or whatever it's called. I haven't seen it yet. So.
Right.
Yeah, but that's one of the things we could do, like do some commentaries for the episodes of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah.
And mostly it will be just us like pointing at the background and saying, hey, I know that one. That's called The Magician.
Yeah.
That painting over there. But,
Yeah.
we'll also talk about, the plot and stuff like that. So
yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
I watched that show and I thought it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And audio commentary for speaking of more Clive Barker art, the last movie star, one of the main characters in that movie, from what we understand, wears a leather jacket that's got a Clive Barker painting on the back.
Yeah, so that was one of the last movies that Burt Reynolds did, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or maybe the last movie that he did.
The last movie star.
Yeah.
So that's another one that we're thinking about doing. And then, of course, as we've done before, and this also seems to be really, really popular with people, and Duels of Blood, right? I mean, Volume 4.
Yeah, Duels of Blood. It's got a slow start, but then our last episode really blew up because we had Laurie's Simon Bamford fans.
Mm-hmm.
Laurie and Simon Bamford fans versus fans of Hellraiser Judgment.
Right.
And
yes.
So they were
because we had the classic Pinhead and then we had the Judgment Pinhead.
Yeah, and they ended up being up against each other just by chance, but that was a huge turnout we had for that. And
lots of voter turnout.
Right, and now this time Simon Bamford will be back again as Onaka, so we'll be interested to see how that turns out. And again, we're going to do random pairings so that however I happen to so that we're not influencing the outcome by setting up the matches ourselves.
Yeah, usually do that random generator thing and see what happens there. And, people will get voting and then we'll have something else to talk about during the Duels of Blood episodes. We'll have to figure a theme that we'll discuss and maybe get someone to join us as well, as usual.
Yeah, and that'll be fun. And then so that's it. We're not traveling, we're not doing we really, really appreciate you guys sending us to Texas Frightmare Weekend last year. That meant a lot, and that was a huge
absolutely.
That was a huge experience, and it was so much fun to see, not just all of our listeners and fellow Clive Barker fans and stuff, but to be able to see each other because, we're all in different time zones, and I had never met Rob or Marcus or David before, and we got to meet each other. I've met you 2 other times, but yeah, that part alone was just amazing, and we got to do so many in-person interviews. But Texas Frightmare Weekend, as much as I would love to go there, I don't think it's fair to ask our listeners to send us there when it's not even Clive Barker related,
Right. Well, we'll see what happens in the convention circuit as Clive Barker announces more personal appearances.
Yeah.
And then maybe at that time we'll be able to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just didn't line up for this particular, Kickstarter because we're trying to have this, finished by the end of the year, and maybe people could buy some of these things as Christmas presents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. So our last one is the Duels of Blood. We have a more modest goal, or stretch goal, I guess you could say. The goal is only $700, so we're funded at $700. But we have a much more modest stretch goal of $1,400. Will get us all the way to doing the Duels of Blood tournament again, which is time consuming, but it's a kind of an exciting thing that I look forward to.
Yeah, it's always nice to set up the matches and the different, last year we didn't really have, we didn't separate them into like 4 different, brackets. But, right. So
Right.
We do need to like delve a little deeper into some of Clive Barker's more obscure characters, because we don't want to keep doing the same characters over and over, though.
Yeah. Well, and this is going to be all Nightbreed, and not like human Nightbreed characters, but, Nightbreed themselves. Like last year we did all Cenobites.
Yeah, maybe one day we can start putting some book characters as well, like Mr. Begone and Mamulian, the Last European, and stuff like that. That'd be fun. Yeah. Even though we don't really have images of those, but
that's what makes that hard.
Yeah, that's what makes it hard. It has to be something that you have some sort of visual representation to some extent. Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, I think the Duels of Blood, I'm really excited about this one. I have no idea where we would go after, because I think we can find 64 Nightbreed when you look at the Nightbreed
extended mythology.
Yeah, and the comics. There's two sets of comic books about Nightbreed. So and the movie. So between all of that, we can do it. But yeah, after that, I don't know if we could do it again for next year. Maybe by then we'll think of something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
throw in some Thief of Always characters as well, like Harvey Swick and Rictus and other characters like that.
Yeah, right. Oh, we could do an Abarat. We could totally do an Abarat Duels of Blood.
Oh, just an exclusive Abarat. We'd have so many characters in there.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's for 2020.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But
that's
cool.
A deal.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, and on the site we have Daniel Serra has been doing a time-lapse video of drawing the female Cenobite.
Yes.
Which is really cool to see, because we love his paintings that have been on they've been on a lot of stuff, including the Hellraiser anthologies. But it's really neat to see his process and how he puts one of those together.
It's beautiful. We had shared one of his sketches exactly 1 year ago, because I remember looking at my memories on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I posted about this today, 1 year ago, and it was this drawing of the female Cenobite, and serendipity struck, and it's all of a sudden I see the Clive Barker podcast was tagged on a post by Danielle Serra, and I went there and I checked it out. It was this time-lapse video of him drawing the female Cenobite, and I'm like, well, what do you know? I'm just going to share that to our podcast page on Facebook. So it's up there for you to go and check it out, and that's a lovely video. As usual, he's got some amazing art. He's also done Candyman art, and it was for sale at some point in the old Clive Barker store. And he's also worked for Barbie Wild Books. So the Venus Complex cover is done by Danielle Serra. So yeah, there's lots of cool things that we try to share on Facebook whenever we can, and one of them was that Danielle Serra video. And then we also had the interview from last week with Sorkin Line.
Yeah.
So
and
the
that
F
was
is silent.
Great. That was a really fun interview, and we actually got to talk. We got to really kind of geek out in a scholarly way about Clive Barker and his career, spanning all the way from the Books of Blood until the present. And something that she had mentioned, there haven't been any scholarly books about his works beyond the Books of Blood.
Right.
And
so that was fun.
Yeah, and so she has this new book, Clive Barker Dark Imaginer, that you can get in paperback or the hardcover is really expensive, but you can get in paperback or ebook still.
Right. Yes. So go check that one out. It was episode 202.
Yeah, our last episode.
Yep. And so we do appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving us on our previous Kickstarters, and it's been a really fun ride. And yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing to do this for at least another year.
Yeah, definitely. And this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com, where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.